This is just a quick video showing who we've been made to think was a good idea for president, Donald Trump, and he'll probably even be president by the time I upload this. You can see Trump here with Jesse James of West Coast Choppers and the TV show History of the Chopper. The photo op says it all. I'm not going to dig into this relationship much, but given Trump's nonchalant attitude about his KKK supporters, I think it goes without saying we're not getting a messiah any more than we got with Obama. Jesse is related to the gunslinging criminal of the same name, and you can see here the infamous Jesse James and his brother making the claw sign of the Knights of the Golden Circle, who were responsible for assassinating President Lincoln. There's a huge backstory there. I'm sure they're not far off from Aleister Crowley's Golden Dawn, as is implied here also. James was also married to Sandra Bullock, and I can just picture them on the bus from Speed, plummeting over a cliff into the abyss. Probably doing some speed, since James has ties to the Hells Angels, who are notorious for trafficking methamphetamine, but I digress. I'll link these articles I'm referring to, but an interesting point on this particular site is how Trump used an actual MK trigger against Keisha Knight Pulliam on his Celebrity Apprentice show. He made her cry by bringing up Bill Cosby, since there is a dark history between her and Bill, and I'm just illustrating how dark and twisted any politician put into office is going to be. All these people, Clinton, Kane, Trump, etc., are all handled by the Jesuit order. In any case, even if you pick another candidate or write in Jesus as your choice for commander-in-chief, you're going to get a Jesuit puppet instead. They created America, just as I noted about a part of Washington, D.C. being named Rome in early American property records, and it hardly stops at the Rothschilds and phony Jews of the Synagogue of Satan. Just remember that, as I also pointed out, Meyer Amschel Rothschild and Son is Mars as an acronym, the Roman god of war. And they were the more conspicuous finger of the hidden hand in creating revolutions, wars, Nazism, communism, etc. since 1776. But it's the Jesuits who've held the real power. The Rothschilds were just the so-called Jewish bankers who handled the enormous wealth of the Jesuit crime families. The Vatican is only a finger of the hidden hand itself. I had a couple of links given to me by one of the brilliant subscribers to my channel, and let's face it, anyone who watches my channel is brilliant. Just kidding. You're brilliant if you made your way to Jesus already, but these sites show who the real Jesuit order is comprised of in the true Illuminati bloodlines. Fritz Springmeier may have been on to many Illuminati families, but Roman lineage just makes more sense. If we really look at history beyond the usual Spanish Inquisition, which is still around.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
I think it speaks for itself. There are three popes: the white pope, who we see, like Francis, the black pope, who is called the president of the world, and the gray pope, who in reality controls them all, no doubt taking orders directly from Lucifer. You can read these websites and get the full backstory, so I won't elaborate on every family name. I mean, what can we do about it anyway, even if we know everything? It's just more reason to start hot-footing behind Jesus if you haven't already. The point I do want to make, though, is the relationship of these colors and stations to Freemasonry. Masons have a black and white checkerboard representing the checkered life of the initiate, or any given person. In the spiritual war, we're constantly affected by forces we can't see, both black and white, dark and light. And even devout Christians still have to ward themselves against dark powers on a daily basis. My point here is the gray pope is the middle ground between the two, coordinating both sides, and why he is gray. Another part of this point is in looking at the pitchfork of the devil. Each pope represents one of the tines of the fork, with the middle no doubt being the gray pope and an intermediary of evil. It's not like the white pope is actually good, he just represents the lie to the people. I'm trying to keep this brief, but we could go on about each individual point here. And again, the red and blue pillars, Boaz and Joaquin, represent American politics and our limited choice of presidential candidates, to put it simplistically, with the arch formed above the checkered life and the keystone having a lot to do with those arches of Baal or Baal being erected everywhere. The synthesis of blue and red to purple is the cardinal color, as in Jesuit cardinal or cardinal sin. And these arches are not just symbolic to their orders, but meaningful to the gateways to the abyss or hell, often referred to about CERN and the like. That's too much to get into here, but it is all relative. It all goes back to the Babylonian priesthood that would later be incorporated into the role of the Pontifex Maximus and the Pope. Don't think Trump or any other politician vying for the presidential seat is any less a puppet of these plans and orders than the others. Lucifer has them all in a neatly niched and demographed fold. People like Trump and Hitler are just a means to an end for the devil, mainly the death of humanity and the inversion of God's creation, DNA, and temple within us all. Transhumanism and the rest won't end just because a new president is selected. There's far more to the symbology I could go on about. Lucifer loves to wrap people's heads around symbolism until they don't know what's up or down. That's what the Ouroboros serpent really represents, having your head wrapped so far around up your posterior that only the jaws of life in Jesus will help you extract it to see clearly again. This image is George Washington's Masonic apron, by the way, just as an aside. We could go on about the pillars, the four corners of the earth, the arch possibly representing the dome or firmament covering the earth. These are the things that make flat earthers believe what they do, but that's not what this is about. Trump is just another distraction, and as I said, made to seem like our own good idea to vote for after demonizing Hillary with WikiLeaks and the like, however real those might or might not be. Richie from Boston and Anthony Patch pointed out the possibility that this election fraud is to incite chaos amongst Hillary supporters when they lose, forwarding the Order Cow plot, order out of chaos, to enact martial law and cap the pyramid of the NWO. I tend to agree. All these politicians are in the pocket of NATO and the UN is in the pocket of the Illuminati bloodlines and Lucifer. As I showed before on this Israel breaking news site, Trump is number 10 on a list of top billionaires who support Israel. And that is another way of saying you support the UNWO. Anyway, I just wanted to reinforce these ideas after finding that image of Trump making the Illuminati devil horns and talk a little about the three popes since I hadn't mentioned them before, or the Grey Pope. Research that if you're interested. That's who's really running our world and trying to sell our souls to Lucifer without us even knowing it. But I have more fear of the Lord while waiting for Wormwood to make landfall before these creepy clowns finally run humanity straight into the hollow earth. And just as a last little side note here, someone had asked why John Kerry needed to run off to the South Pole to meet with scientists about climate change or whatever the excuse while the election was reaching its peak. The reason is because that's where the Nazis went looking for the black sun and the hollow earth, and Admiral Byrd had the bulk of the U.S. Navy looking for the same with Operation High Jump. That's where I believe a hole to the abyss may be, leading to the land of the Nephilim hybrids, like the Grey Lams Crowley and the OTO pandered to. They say Satan Claus has a house at the North Pole with his demon Krampus elves, but I'll bet they've been sending our Christmas letters to the wrong pole this whole time. There's a correlation between the time period of Operation High Jump and movies like Journey to the Center of the Earth. No coincidence, recently remade in 2008. That's what Kerry was doing there anyway, in my opinion, a Skull and Bones laureate. 3 times 22 equals 66. I think he was there to meet up with an old friend, just like all the other Nephilim hybrids in the world probably do. Believe it or don't.